All right, so I'm Robert Kazar, KLW Appraisal Group. You probably know me, I know Tina and Dana with the assessor's office. We're working together on this project for the reassessment for 2026. So the goal of this assessment equity project is to establish fair and equitable assessments on all real property taxes. It's important to remember that reassessment does not raise tax levies, okay? The town has its budget that's developed independently. It doesn't matter whether we do a reassessment or not, the town is going to have to collect the amount of money that they have to collect to operate. What a reassessment does is provides an equitable distribution of the property tax. Now, when we say that, we have to remember that property taxes are ad valorem or at value. So taxes are based on the value of real property. I'm going to kind of go a little bit fast just to get through this. If you have any questions, just except for yours, we'll wait till the end. If you have questions on any of the slides, just let me know, and then I'll slow down. So budget versus levy. So taxing jurisdictions, whether that's a school district, a town, a city, fire district, they're responsible to develop a budget. That budget is the amount of money that they need to operate, to provide the services, to provide snow plowing, garbage pickup, all that great stuff, right? So there are other revenue sources other than taxes that these taxing jurisdictions get. School districts get funding from New York State. Towns maybe get grant money. They may get funding from state or federal governments. Also permit fees, things like that. Once they take their budget, look at all those other funding sources, revenues, what's left is the tax levy. That is the amount of money that has to be raised through taxation by to the property owners. When we talk about assessment equity, in assessments or equity with respect to assessments, all properties are assessed at a uniform percent of value. For this project, at the end, we want the percent of value to be 100%. That means we want the assessed value to reflect market value or be reasonably close to market value. That way, properties with similar assessed values pay similar taxes. If all assessments are similar to the market value, then all taxpayers are paying their fair share. If we have inequity, if one property or neighborhood is significantly underassessed, so their properties are worth way more than their assessed value, they're paying less than what they should be in taxes. But what that also means is that because they're paying less, other people are paying more than what they should be. As an example of that, we have two properties, very similar type properties. Say in 2012, both of them had a full market value of $200,000, and their assessed values were $200,000. They're both paying their fair share. Over time, I still didn't fix this slide. I knew there was another thing I wanted to do last night. Over time, property A's value increases to $600,000, while property B's value also appreciates, but only up to $400,000.
So is that due to improvements that people did on their property?
Potentially, or within appreciation within the neighborhood. One of the two, right? Mm-hmm. So both properties, this was the part of the slide that I was going to fix. Both properties are still paying the same amount of taxes. Property A, because their value is so much greater, is paying less than what they should be, which means that property B is paying more than what they should be.
Because the assessed value is the same.
Because the assessed value is the same, but their market values are significantly different. So taxes are based on the assessed value. We want our assessed values to reflect market value. Market value is the most probable price that a property should bring in a competitive and open market under all conditions requisite to a fair sale. buyer and seller acting knowledgeably and prudently, and the price is not affected by any undue stimulus. So we don't have a seller who is in a position that they need to sell because they're in threat of foreclosure or some other influence.
Have we always done assessed value equal to market value? Market value changes drastically.
Right. Well,
Over
when we
6 months, a
when
year.
we do a project, and this is in another slide, we have a specific date that we want to reflect the market value.
But has it always been done that way throughout the years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But when you don't do an update or reassessment, now it's not. When we did the project in 2012, the market value was as of July 1st of 2011.
And we did market value equals assessed value
Yep.
in 2012?
Yep.
Okay. So we have to catch up.
Or reasonably similar to market value. We want to get close. It's tough. It's always moving. So we want to be as close to the market value as we can. How's value determined? It's important to note the assessor or us, we don't create market value. Market value is determined by the interaction of buyers and sellers. We analyze what's happening, what buyers and sellers are doing, what properties are selling for, what type of properties are selling for. It's not just the area, but it's the type of property. Is a ranch style house more popular than a contemporary or a colonial, right? And we look at these things. We utilize those arm's length market value transactions as comparable sales to develop the value of each individual, what we call subject property. So for your individual properties, we will select comparable sales, try and find similar properties that sold, make adjustments to come up with a value on your property. There are a lot of factors that drive value. The primary one is the location. Where's that property located? Is it on the water? Is it off the water? Is it next to the landfill? Is it next to a gas station? Is it in a nice residential neighborhood? So location plays a large factor in value of property. Some locations are more desirable than others. We don't determine what is a desirable neighborhood. The market participants determine what's a desirable neighborhood. You may have two houses that are very similar that sell in different areas, maybe a different school district, and one is selling for more than the other when they look identical houses, right? Because one school district is more desirable than the other. Other factors, basic economic influences, such as supply and demand. The higher the demand and the supply is low, is going to drive prices up. If you have a low demand and a large supply of homes on the market, it's going to bring values down. I have interest rates and resulting buying power of consumers, although over the last few years that's kind of not been true. Surprisingly, we saw in 2020 and 21, interest rates were incredibly low. And then they jumped up in 22, 23 to much higher. I mean, a 5-point increase is significant. However, we didn't see a slowdown in sales transactions. And this isn't just locally, this is all over. And appreciation on housing just continued. It didn't really matter what the interest rates were. But other things that may affect value is availability of amenities and jobs, and consumer desires and conditions and amenities of a property. So when we get to when we're done with our project, we'll almost done with our project, and we notify you of what we think your assessed value is. The important question to ask yourself is that is the market value that we derive reasonable or the assessed value for your property reasonably close to market value? So here you have a handout with the project timeline. This gives you an idea of our activities, what we're doing. Currently, the assessor's office is working on the subject property data verification, where they're going to each property in the town to make sure that the information on file is accurate. Now, an important point is July 1st, for this project, July 1st of 2025 is the valuation date. So we are looking at developing assessments based on their market value as of July 1st of 2025. We do that for a number of reasons. One, it's stipulated in the law that you have to have a valuation date. Two, we need a date to measure what's going on within municipalities from one year to the next. So if you're doing updates on an annual basis, you need a cutoff point of when you're not considering any market activity to the next cutoff point, right? So July 1st is a date. What that also means is that any sales transaction that has occurred after July 1st, or the beginning of the month, will not be included in our sales analysis or in our sales pool. Okay, so that way next year, the state can do an analysis to say, okay, over a 1 year period, what happened to the assessed values? So our value for all properties will be as of July 1st of 2025. Does that answer your question?
No.
No. So what we will be doing in August and September is analyzing sales and market data. What's going on, what are the sales, what are properties selling for within certain neighborhoods?
August to September, sales that took place after July?
No.
Sales that took place before July?
Right. So we wait till, and I think you've already gotten all of the sales for June.
Yep.
Entered in. So now we'll start looking at all the sales, because there's a time lag from when it gets recorded in the county to when it gets to the town to when it gets entered into the database. So we wait a little bit, so now we'll start doing sales analysis, what are things selling for within certain neighborhoods, and start
Before July, what they sold for before July 1st?
Prior to July 1st.
Going back how far?
We haven't determined that yet. Typically, we go back 2 years. And then from September through December, through the end of the year, we'll be developing new assessed values for all the properties and doing a field review of those properties to make sure that we feel that value estimate is appropriate for those properties. March 1st is another important date. It's taxable status date.
Question for you, say for those properties, are you talking about anything that's sold in the past 2 years, or you're doing those properties are all properties?
For the valuation?
From, you say
September to December.
valuation and valuation review, September to December, and you said you're gonna look at the valuation of those properties?
All properties.
All properties, not just the ones in the past 2
Sorry,
years, all properties?
I misspoke. It says,
All
it
properties.
does say develop value for all properties.
Okay.
And we're revaluing every property.
Obviously, it's easier to do the ones that sold in the past 2 years, it's the ones that haven't.
Kind of have an answer.
Okay.
One question, new builds go right in because you actually know the value of those, of what people spent to build them, or how do you do that? Like someone has land and then they built during this time.
We still look at comparables to come up with a number because cost doesn't always equate value.
Okay. Thank you.
So March 1st is another important date. It's a taxable status date. We have to, our value has to reflect the condition of the property as of that date. As an example, new construction, it might be 50% complete as of March 1st. We wouldn't put a full value on that property. We put 50% of the value of the building. It's also important for things like if you have a property and you have a garage or a barn that's in disrepair and you plan on taking it down, if it's still up as of March 1st, it's still going on the roll. It's, if you take it down and I live just outside the city of Buffalo, and we see a lot that they have a different taxable status date, but we see a lot of commercial developers in the fall because their taxable status date is December 1st. They get permits to demo buildings and they're done in November and October. Or October, November.
They want it done.
They want it down before December 1st, so that That way their assessed value is only vacant land. So toward the end of February, we have to actually have it in the mail, postmarked by March 1st. We'll be sending the assessment disclosure notices to all property owners. What the assessment disclosure notice is it will tell you what your assessment was for 2025, what your preliminary assessment or what we are proposing to change it to, and the effect it would have on the taxes on that property. The form is somewhat misleading because it says it's a 2026 taxes, which it's not really. So what we do is we know what the 25 is, and it'll say, your 2025 assessed value. It will list the taxing jurisdictions that you pay taxes on, the town, county, and school, and an approximate estimate of what those taxes were, which would be reasonably close. What the preliminary assessment reflects is that if all our assessments were in place when your 2025 bill was calculated, this would be the effect of all the new assessments. It's not just yours, it's every property.
On the 2025 taxes.
2020, let's say 25 and 26. The 26 is really an estimate of what your taxes would have been previously, if all our assessments were in place. Also during February, March, possibly in the beginning of April, we'll conduct what we call informal meetings. That gives the opportunity for property owners to meet with us, either in person, Zoom type meetings, phone call, or people can email or mail their concerns to us to understand how we develop the new assessed value and to bring any concerns that they may have to our attention. So now, while Tina and Dana are going around to all the properties in the town and looking at them, gathering, making sure the information's right, they're only looking at the outside of the house. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know, right? We don't know what's going on the inside. We don't know, if there are issues with the property, if there's, significant easements, encroachments, things like that on the property. So there's a lot of things we don't know. So the informal meeting is a way that we look at it. It's an exchange of information. It's a way for us to refine our value, to make sure that we're as close to accurate as we can be on each individual property. Once we meet with all property owners, we will have to make changes, potentially. And then May 1st is the tentative assessment roll. What the tentative assessment roll is, as of that date, that gets filed with the county. Once it's filed, no changes can be made to anything that's on the file. I can't change any values, the assessor can't change any values. May 26th, you can file a formal grievance. At that formal grievance, you can submit an application. It's an RP 524 form. Include supporting documentation of why you think the assessed value is not appropriate for the property. And then the Board of Assessment Review will review that information either in a non-hearing, or you can make that presentation to the board in a hearing, and then they make a determination of whether that value is appropriate or not.
It's a county board, or these guys?
It is a Board of Assessment Review, which are residents of the Town of Webb.
And that's a physical meeting on May 26th?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
You have to get the documentation in prior to May 26th, prior to grievance day. And you can either have what they call a hearing, where you present to the Board of Assessment Review, or it could be a non-hearing application where you gave them all the information, they can read it themselves, right? It's personal preference. Does the bar do Zoom type meetings?
They did not last year.
They did not. So if seasonal residents, if they're not gonna be here, they have to get that application in.
Where do they find the application?
Either in our office or you can find it online.
Okay.
In the,
If you search RP 524, it will show up everywhere.
Because people will ask.
Mm-hmm.
the assessment disclosure notices are coming out February and March.
Mhm.
Will they then be available online? I mean, a lot of people aren't in town then,
They'll get mailed to them.
right?
Everybody will receive it via mail.
But can they sign on and get get it online or no?
No.
No.
What they should be able to do is go to, they can go to the assessor's webpage, okay? And from there, there'll be a link to property information. The preliminary values, which is what they're called at that point in time, will be published for each property on the website.
They will be, oh, that's what I meant, on
You
that.
won't be able to get a copy of the
No,
document.
but you can see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And also, I'm sure we'll have copies of everybody's in the
Yes.
office. I can always, if you call the
Pull
office,
it
if you
up.
didn't receive it, I can always scan it, email it to somebody too. You know, help out any way we can.
that happens a lot.
Yeah, everybody here, if they can get out of town or out of town, February, March.
That's true.
Not all of us.
I said can, I said if you can.
I like winter, so I'm good. For now.
And then as of July 1st of 2026, our numbers will become final. And then those numbers will be used when they calculate the September 26 school taxes and January 27 town and county taxes. You can also find additional information if you go to New York State Office of Real Property Tax Services. You can just search ORPTS, and there's a ton of information and documentation on the job of the assessor, what a reassessment project is, frequently asked questions about
What is it,
reassessment.
ORP, I'm sorry.
ORPTS. Do you have a bunch of these links on your website?
I believe they're underneath helpful links.
We'll check the website in a minute.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jim.
Are those web pages in this printed material or no?
I don't believe so, but on the very back, you have directions on how to assess our personal Town of Webb page
Okay,
for the assessor's office. And that's where you're gonna find on the left-hand side of the screen
Helpful
the
link,
helpful
okay.
links.
all right, thanks.
You're
I
welcome.
think Robert's gonna show you right now, he's going there. He's going somewhere.
So when the notice comes out February, March, that's the effect that it's gonna have on the taxes will only show based on what the 2025 taxes.
Right, because we won't know what
No,
the
the
26, we have no
2026.
idea what 26, we don't know what the 26 budget's gonna look like, we don't know what the 26 levy's
When
gonna
does
look
the
like.
town have that out? Before July 1st?
No, they don't do their budgets till the end of the year.
So when the July 1st final assessment roll goes out, it's based on 2025 taxes?
No, it's based
No.
on the 2026 taxes, but we don't know what they'll be. So we can only give a guess or an estimate, but the town does have a 2% tax cap, so it
Okay,
can't be
so
greater
good
than
idea.
2%
Okay,
without public consideration.
Okay.
They have to
But
file
the
that.
analysis goes back to 2023, correct? You're taking the 2 years up to July 1st. That's what you said, right? For the sales and marketing data analysis?
Typically, we go back 2 years,
Yeah, okay.
typically.
Depending on how many sales.
Right, it's sales dependent, if we don't have enough sales, we might have to go back another year.
Okay.
But when we select the comparable sales for each property, and there's different ways in which we can do this, but we put a lot of weight on the time of sale. So we want to pick the sales that are most similar with physical characteristics that occurred the most recent.
We post the sales on our website too, so we have it.
Just to show you real quick.
do,
Yeah,
this is sales in the town?
yeah,
I'll
all
show
the
you.
valid sales.
So if you go right to the homepage for the assessor,
Right,
this Town of Webb, SDG, NYS,
uh-huh,
the link is here, it may change. But that's the link that will give you all the property information. So when we do
I've been
our,
to that one, but,
that's the one that will post the preliminary assessed values.
okay,
They'll be in red, and it'll say preliminary assessment,
okay,
Also,
But as far as the sales.
Property sales on that green bar, I could be wrong, when you go
Yep,
down, it says under helpful property sales. So it tells you what was sold.
All right, I've never seen that one, okay,
And then broken down by month.
okay.
And again,
What
not
is
just
our average
about-
sales in a year of homes, just wondering?
off the top of my head, I
You
don't
don't
know
know,
off the
okay,
top
I
of my
just-
head. I can get
It's
that
just because it
answer.
always says that things, there's nothing for sale, there's nothing, I hear that all the time, so just wondering.
I
Well,
do have-
everything's for sale.
Yeah.
But depending
You
on.
have
the
what
right
you want,
price.
pay for it.
Right, right.
Right, got it.
So then here they also put in helpful links. It'll take you to the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance.
Okay.
Okay, and there. That's right to start credits. We have information about our meetings. Forms, you probably put the RP 524 form
Yeah,
here.
yeah, okay.
Information about Tina and Dana out in the field updating their information. And you can always check what you have, what we call inventory is everything that we have on your property, right? What's the lot size, what type of building, what's the square footage, what are other improvements? Improvements are not, I just put a new roof on. Improvements are garages, porches, decks, patios, other things on that property that are not the resident. So other improvements to the real estate that are not the residents.
Not maintenance things,
It's not maintenance.
not maintenance.
It was also brought to my attention today by email that there's two image makes. There's the Town of Webb, and then the Herkimer County has one. The Herkimer County link is not updated as far as ours is, because
So
I
I
had
can
somebody
get your
email me
assessment.
today and say that, hey, I updated my information with you, but it's not updated on the web. And I went and looked, and I said, it is on the Town of Webb, but not on the Herkimer County one,
Which is
so.
interesting, a lot of Herkimer County hasn't been
Yeah.
updated on it.
Well, it has to do, it's a computer thing, so they have the live database here, and that gets updated, and I'm assuming with SDG,
Yeah, we pay our own.
but your SDG updates on a daily basis?
No.
We have to email them, which we did email them, and they haven't got back to us.
Yeah,
You
I
would
try
think
to do it twice
they
a
would
year,
think.
minimum.
So we're
You would-
making so many changes right now that we can update, but then we're gonna update again. Cause we keep making so many
We can
changes.
talk about that.
Yeah.
So and you only update the county with your database once a year, or twice a year?
I think that
We
they wanted
we
to-
Dropbox a lot to the county. It
Okay.
seems like every 2-3
I
months.
think
Yeah.
Tuesday
And I think-
they want one.
Yeah, we have to do final one.
Okay, but I think the update cycle from the county database to the image made online, I think they only do it annually. They don't do it on a more.
So for
regular
us,
basis.
the most accurate information is our own.
Is our own.
Yeah.
Go to this, and additional information will be updated on the project as well as we move forward.
Can I just take a picture of that page?
Absolutely.
I know photos aren't allowed. Our new rule.
I'm not gonna tell anybody.
I just did it so I can find I'm on the right page.
They're allowed here.
Because I go to the county page, Webb's one cover. So you
I don't know, I'm
said,
being recorded, so.
oh, there you go, okay. So you said inventory is the term you used, right? What is on the building, whether it's a barn or whatever.
Garage,
Right, and not maintenance. That was more of Dan's question, is your two properties that were both assessed at 200,000, one is now 400, one is 600. That's market value. But the one that's 600 is market value because the owners have maintained it, they're completely equal, all other things. So does an owner that chooses not to maintain their property get a lower assessed value?
potentially.
Yeah.
It's potential. So if they don't maintain it to the point that it starts to deteriorate, right, then.
But you got property A, property B, they're the exact same property, but property A maintains it, property B doesn't.
And by maintain, just so that do you mean like don't mow their grass, or they have a bunch of junk in their yard, or they have?
Don't fix their barn, don't fix their deck their steps are falling down, the steps of the lake are falling down, the dock is not repaired.
Yes, that will affect value.
And there's another way to look at
So there's a
that.
reason not to maintain your property.
Well, you can do, well, there's two things to look at that, okay? So
Can't sell it.
remember, we want their assessed value to reflect market value,
Right,
okay? That property in disrepair, it's
It's
not gonna sell for the same amount of money as the property that's maintained.
right. But
Correct.
there's still a good market there because the value is in the land, not.
There's still value there, right? But if the land, if they're equal sites, they both have 200 feet of waterfront, they both are, a third of an acre. The underlying land value is gonna be the same, okay? The value of the improvements are gonna be different because people are going to pay more money for the house that's maintained.
Right,
Than the house
right,
that
but that's their benefit when they go to sell the house, but they're also gonna be paying more taxes to their owner that
Yes.
chooses not to maintain it.
Yes,
That doesn't
That's
seem
not-
right.
that's not wrong. But, now here's the thing, that, like you just made a statement, well then, there's motivation to not maintain your house. Okay, I can understand that, but how do you want to live? Do you want to live in a house that you're afraid whether you're gonna fall through the deck or not?
Right, but I don't wanna be paying higher taxes than
It's
my
based
owners.
it's based on value.
Yeah, but then my neighbors or the people across the lake aren't paying because they choose not to fix their steps to the lake. I mean, I don't wanna be supporting what they should be paying taxes on property. It's
We don't-
fine, it is what it is, so there's not much you can do about it.
To be honest with you, we don't really get into the minutia of, okay, these steps are in disrepair, we're taking,
Cause there's 200 feet of waterfront, there's value to 200 feet of waterfront.
100%. And that's not gonna change.
Right.
So if you think about that, like, so you have two pieces of property, like I said, one's in disrepair, one's not. They both have the same lot size, say that, the lots are worth $500,000.
Okay, so
I'm
let's say
throwing numbers out there.
The two
Right.
pieces of property on either side of the lake get assessed at the exact same value.
Potentially.
Okay, potentially. But the one property owner comes to you guys and complains, but my steps are broken, my dock's falling in the water, my barn's falling down. Are they gonna be suckered in to say, oh yeah, you're right, your property's not worth the same as the guy across the lake? Only because they're not maintaining it. And the guy across the lake just put in $50,000 for maintaining his property.
So it depends
Can
on,
they-
it
can they
depends
ma-
on the lack of, how far that lack of maintenance goes, okay? If we have stairs that are in disrepair, are we gonna get into the minutia to figure out what's the cost of the stairs to be repaired
But
and
are you
adjust
gonna
the
let
value?
people get away with getting
We're
their,
not letting anybody get away with
to
anything.
grieve.
We're looking at what the market value of each property is. If the overall condition of that house, where that guy who doesn't maintain his steps, if the overall condition is still average, okay, because he's doing minimal maintenance on the house itself, it's not gonna affect value much, if at all.
it shouldn't be,
okay?
it shouldn't be a grievable amount. I mean, they should be able to come in and say, listen, my house is not worth as much as that house because I got all this work I've gotta do and I'm not doing it.
If the disrepair gets to the point where the roof is deteriorated, it's leaking in the house, it's causing damage, now you're talking about something different.
Talking about a codes issue.
I was gonna say, then the codes would say.
Well, then, there's that, but we don't get into enforcing codes, but.
Right,
No, but that's a checks and balance
but-
on that.
right,
That is your
right.
checks and balance and.
Right, but now you get to the point where now the lack of maintenance has significantly deteriorated the appeal and marketability of that property and the value of that property. Because somebody's not gonna pay the same amount of money for that property that needs a roof, that needs new drywall, that needs.
I get that, but I'm talking about,
I guess it,
each person has a boathouse. The one person decides not to replace their boathouse and not to fix it, it's falling over. They wanna pay less taxes because their boathouse is falling over. That doesn't seem right, because they should be maintaining their property. Market value, yes, the guy with the nice boathouse is gonna get more money selling it, but why should he be paying more taxes to the exact same property that chooses not to fix the boathouse?
Because New York State real property law says that we pay taxes based on the value of our property. So yes, if you can look at it that
So
way.
then codes needs to come in and say, look, guy, your boathouse is falling into the water, you need to do something about it, fix it. Either get rid of it or fix it.
I look at it two ways. So, yes, you can look at it that if I don't maintain my property, my taxes will go down. Okay, and you could look at it that way. I also look at it the other way. How do I want to live my life? What's the quality of life that I want? Do I want to worry about whether I'm going to fall through the deck? Do I want to be able to walk down those stairs safely to get down to my dock to go on my boat?
Obviously, somebody that doesn't maintain the property doesn't care.
Do I want to update my kitchen and it's quality of life issues for me. Do I know that it's going to increase the value of my property, increase my assessed value, which potentially is going to increase my taxes? I know that, but I don't want to live, that's how I want to live. And if, my taxes go up a little bit because I redid my kitchen and bathroom and I got permits for it and everything else, right? So the value of my property is going to go up a little bit. I'm going to pay a little bit more in taxes, but I really like that kitchen that I just put in. So I'm going to do it.
And in the scheme of things, it's really not that big of an increase on your taxes.
Right.
Because the waterfront's still the same.
Oh, no, I have no
You know,
problem
20
with you as an
I get what
individual.
I understand what
I do.
you're saying too, and it's a hard, because without a covenant or without those kind of things, we can't make people in our country do anything. Let's face the facts, we just cannot.
You see,
So, we cannot.
so
So,
you see these
if they
boathouses that
choose
are
to never
collapsing
paint
into
their
the water,
house,
they're choosing not
that's-
to fix them.
that's
Right.
their house.
I-
Yeah.
But then that's codes enforcement, codes should go out and
If it
say,
gets dangerous and
If it gets
unsafe.
unsafe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a data collection project in a town. We did it over 2 summers. I remember the first summer I went to a house, and it was a wood-sided house in a village, and the property owner met me there, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna let you inside. You can do all your outside measurements." And then he says to me, he goes, "Are you guys gonna come back around again and recollect the information?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "No, we're making one trip to the house. We talked to you. We're fine." He's like, "Oh, cool. Now I can paint. Now I'll call the painter and come paint the house because the house is peeling off." He goes, "And I'm scheduled to have new windows and a roof and stuff." He goes, "But I wanted to wait till you guys came by."
Well,
And I
that's
was just
the-
like, those are things. Those are painting a house, windows, roofs, furnaces. Those are systems in the house that will deteriorate and have to be replaced. We know a house is going to have to be repainted. We know a roof is going to be replaced. We know windows are going to have to be replaced. Doors, things like that. Things deteriorate. Because you just fixed a couple things doesn't change the overall condition of the property. It's just maintenance.
Put a 20 by 20 addition on, that changes the value of the property.
That will change the value of the property. If you
Same guy that takes his barn down in October, November.
Right, exactly, right, so if you remodel a house and take it down to studs and put it on with electric, new plumbing, new kitchens, new bathrooms, drywall, flooring, electrical fixtures, right? Roof, siding, windows, that's different. That's not maintenance.
But that would show in your inventory, when you start to get your permit to do all that.
Right.
That shows in the inventory.
Now the condition of the property goes from fair because you bought it at a tax auction, right? Gutted it, put all new stuff in, now maybe it's good condition. Maybe you just cleaned it up and made it nicer, so now it goes from fair to average. So we try not to, when we do our valuations, we try not to, quote unquote, punish those that take care of their property. But
That could have answered the question right there. We could have stopped all this discussion.
That was good discussion though. It is good discussion. It's not bad discussion. No.
It's bad enough they have to look across the lake and see somebody that's got the boathouse falling in. That's enough of a judgment.
I want to know where this boathouse is.
They're up
now-
the channel. You drive up the channel, you see them.
Oh, yeah.
So now I should expect you in informal meetings to come in and say, well, my house can't be worth this because look at the view. All I'm looking at is this boathouse.
That's all good stuff. No, well, I appreciate you guys taking the steps to do this, because if it get any further, it could really impact a lot. It already is probably going to impact some people
Yeah.
that are on a fixed budget, but the more it goes, the worse that's gonna get, so.
Hopefully it will affect some of these people that bought and turned them into Airbnbs and
Yeah.
now they can't afford to have
Well,
them.
it's not really, I mean, as long as the tax rate doesn't go way high, it's just our assessment's gonna go up, not, it doesn't, it's just a
Redistribution.
So there's a rule of thumb when doing a reassessment project and when it comes to taxes. A third of the people may have higher tax bills. A third are gonna be reasonably close to the same, and a third may go down. So it really depends on a lot of different factors, where you're located, what's happening within the neighborhood in which you're in, what's happening with your property, and what's happening with properties that are selling that are like yours. If we did a reassessment and we're at 48, right?
57.
57, sorry.
No, that's all right.
So the current equalization rate is 57%. That means that your assessed value represents 57% of the value of the property, right? So if every property went up 43%, right? The tax rate would drop 43%, and everybody would pay the same amount of taxes.
So what you're just saying, what's that 57% number? You
The
take
current equalization rate.
the rate, okay, so you
Okay.
take
As of
your-
today.
the
Yeah,
assessed
that's
value, which is the market